What if the key to the universe was hidden in ancient words, cloaked in myth, and whispered by a forgotten sage? Welcome to the secret life of Hermes Trismegistus, uncovering the truth behind the legendary sage revealed. In this video, we dive deep into the mystery of the man said to be both god and philosopher, a fusion of Egyptian Thoth and Greek Hermes. From the Hermetic texts to alchemical secrets, discover how this enigmatic figure shaped occult thought, science, and spirituality for centuries. The truth has been hidden long enough. Now, it's time to uncover it. The secret life of Hermes Trismegistus, uncovering the truth behind the legendary sage revealed. For centuries, the name Hermes Trismegistus has echoed through history like a whisper from the divine. Revered by alchemists, mystics, philosophers, and occultists, this legendary figure is often described as a sage, a demigod, or even a fusion of gods. But who was Hermes Trismegistus? Was he a real historical person, a mythical composite, or something far more symbolic and cosmic? In this in-depth exploration, we uncover the secret life and legacy of Hermes Trismegistus, tracing his origins, teachings, influence, and mysterious presence across time and tradition. 1. The fusion of gods and men. Hermes Trismegistus, which translates to Hermes the Thrice Great, is not the name of a single historical figure, but rather a symbolic identity merging two powerful deities, the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god Hermes. Thoth, in Egyptian mythology, was the god of wisdom, writing, mathematics, and the moon. He was believed to be the scribe of the gods, the inventor of hieroglyphs, and the keeper of cosmic balance. Hermes, in Greek mythology, was the messenger of the gods, patron of travelers, thieves, and merchants, and later associated with trickery, speed, and knowledge. When the Greeks encountered Egyptian religion during the Hellenistic period, they syncretized their deities. Thoth and Hermes, both being associated with knowledge and communication, were fused into the figure of Hermes Trismegistus, a divine philosopher and sage. 2. The Hermetic texts, wisdom carved in time. Hermes Trismegistus is credited with authoring a series of sacred texts known as the Hermetica. These writings form the foundation of Hermeticism, a spiritual and philosophical tradition that arose between the 1st and 3rd centuries CE. The Hermetica includes the Corpus Hermeticum, a collection of spiritual dialogues and treatises; the Emerald Tablet, a cryptic alchemical text said to contain the secrets of the universe; Asclepius, a dialogue exploring the nature of the divine, the soul, and the cosmos. Core Hermetic teachings include as above, so below, as within, so without. The macrocosm and microcosm reflect each other. All is one. The universe is a manifestation of a single, unknowable divine source. The divine spark. Every human holds within a piece of the divine, waiting to be awakened. These teachings blend Platonic philosophy, Egyptian spirituality, and early Gnostic thought, creating a unique worldview that emphasizes personal transformation, inner divinity, and the pursuit of hidden knowledge. 3. Was Hermes Trismegistus real? The mystery of his existence. Historians widely agree that Hermes Trismegistus was not a single historical person, but a composite archetype, an idealized embodiment of ancient wisdom. However, throughout history, some have claimed Hermes was a pre-flood prophet who preserved sacred knowledge through the ages, a contemporary of Moses, transmitting similar divine revelations, a sage king of Egypt who wrote tens of thousands of scrolls in the ancient temples. In medieval Islamic tradition, Hermes was often identified with the prophet Idris, often equated with Enoch, a figure associated with writing and divine knowledge. This connection added layers of mystical importance to his image. Whether he existed in flesh or not, Hermes Trismegistus became a powerful symbol of eternal wisdom, transcending cultural and religious boundaries. For alchemy and the occult revival. During the European Renaissance, a revival of interest in ancient texts brought Hermes Trismegistus back into the spotlight. Translations of the Corpus Hermeticum by Marsilio Ficino in the 15th century ignited a wave of philosophical and esoteric exploration. To Renaissance thinkers, Hermes represented a bridge between pagan wisdom and Christian mysticism, the origin of alchemy, seen as both a chemical and spiritual transformation, a source of primal knowledge, predating even Plato and the Bible. Alchemists such as Paracelsus, Nicholas Flamel, and Isaac Newton studied Hermetic works, seeing them as keys to unlocking both material and spiritual perfection. In these texts, transformation of metals mirrored inner transformation of the soul, and the quest for the philosopher's stone symbolized the pursuit of divine enlightenment. 5. Hermeticism and modern esotericism. Hermes Trismegistus continued to inspire mystical traditions well into the modern era. His ideas influenced Freemasonry, with its symbolic language and secret rites rooted in ancient wisdom. Rosicrucianism, a mystical order claiming to guard secret Hermetic knowledge. Theosophy, blending Hermetic, Eastern, and Christian ideas into a new spiritual movement. The New Thought movement and New Age philosophy, emphasizing mental power, divine unity, and inner enlightenment. In the 20th century, the Kybalion, a text published by the anonymous three initiates, claimed to distill Hermetic principles into universal laws such as mentalism, correspondence, vibration, and polarity. Though not ancient, the Kybalion helped popularize Hermetic ideas in the West. Today, Hermetic teachings are alive in everything from psychology, especially Jung's ideas of archetypes and alchemical transformation, to pop culture, tarot, and astrology. 6. The Emerald Tablet and as above, so below. Perhaps the most iconic Hermetic phrase is, as above, so below. This line comes from the Emerald Tablet, a short, mystical text attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. Though brief, it is dense with symbolism. The Emerald Tablet teaches that the universe is interconnected. What happens in the heavens, the macrocosm, reflects what happens in the human soul, the microcosm. Unity exists beneath all forms of separation. This principle laid the groundwork for both astrology and alchemy, and became central to magical traditions that see the human will as capable of influencing the world. The tablet also speaks of one thing, through which all things come into being, an idea mirroring the Hermetic belief in a divine, undivided source behind the illusion of multiplicity. 7. The spiritual legacy of Hermes. At its heart, Hermeticism is not about magic spells or obscure rituals. It's about the awakening of the divine spark within. Hermes taught that through gnosis, direct knowledge, purification, and inner alignment, the soul could ascend beyond material illusion and reunite with the divine source. This spiritual path includes contemplation, seeking truth through meditation and silence; purification, detaching from lower desires to elevate the soul; reintegration, reconnecting with the One, the All, the Divine Mind. Hermes Trismegistus becomes, then, not just a sage or symbol, but a spiritual guide, leading seekers inward, beyond dogma, toward the divine within themselves. 8. Modern interpretations and continuing influence. Today, Hermes Trismegistus continues to intrigue scholars, mystics, and creatives alike. His name appears in books, from Jungian psychology to Dan Brown-style thrillers, music and film, as an archetype of hidden knowledge and mystical power. Esoteric schools, where Hermetic teachings are studied, practiced, and adapted for the modern seeker. In a world increasingly fractured and materialistic, Hermeticism offers a unifying vision, where science and spirit, reason and revelation, body and soul, are not at odds but reflections of the same cosmic truth. The timeless voice of Hermes Trismegistus. The secret life of Hermes Trismegistus is less about biography and more about meaning. Whether as a divine teacher, mythic symbol, or mystical mirror, Hermes remains a timeless voice whispering across the ages. Know thyself, and you shall know the gods and the universe. His teachings urge us to look inward, to see beyond illusion, and to recognize the divine spark within all things. In a time when truth feels hidden and meaning elusive, Hermes offers a path, ancient, sacred, and enduring, to rediscover the unity of all. Throughout the millennia, few names have echoed through the halls of esoteric wisdom and mystical tradition with as much reverence as Hermes Trismegistus. This mythical figure, a fusion of the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god Hermes, became the cornerstone of an entire spiritual philosophy known as Hermeticism. His teachings form a bridge between ancient religion, philosophy, and spirituality, one that transcends time, culture, and even dogma. But what is the spiritual legacy of Hermes Trismegistus? Why has this ancient voice continued to inspire mystics, philosophers, alchemists, and seekers of truth for centuries? In this deep dive, we will uncover the core of Hermetic spirituality, tracing its principles, practices, and lasting influence, all rooted in the timeless call to awaken the divine spark within. 1. The Hermetic ideal, the divine human. At the heart of Hermes' spiritual legacy is a radical idea for his time. The human being is divine. Unlike many ancient systems that separated gods from mortals, Hermeticism taught that humans contain within themselves a spark of the divine, a fragment of the nous, divine mind, or the One. This idea is most clearly expressed in the Corpus Hermeticum, a collection of sacred dialogues attributed to Hermes. These texts describe a world created through divine emanation, where everything flows from the One and returns to it. You are a god if you recognize yourself as one. Hermes Trismegistus. This is not a declaration of ego, but a spiritual recognition. The soul, imprisoned in the body, has forgotten its divine origins. The task of Hermetic spirituality is to remember, to awaken, to gnosis, direct knowledge of the divine. 2. As above, so below, a unified cosmos. Another key Hermetic principle is summed up in the famous phrase, as above, so below, as within, so without. This teaching, found in the Emerald Tablet, reveals a fundamental Hermetic view. The universe is an interconnected web where the microcosm, the human being, reflects the macrocosm, the cosmos. Everything is connected, body and spirit, matter and mind, human and divine. This led to the belief that by knowing oneself, one can know the universe, and vice versa. It also shaped Hermetic science, such as astrology and alchemy, where celestial bodies influence human behavior, and transformation of matter mirrors the transformation of the soul. This unity of spirit and matter is spiritual ecology in its purest form. There is no separation. The divine is in all things, not confined to temples or distant heavens. 3. The path of gnosis, knowledge as salvation. Hermeticism is not a belief system, it's a spiritual path. At its core lies the pursuit of gnosis, not intellectual knowledge, but direct inner experience of divine truth. Hermes taught that salvation is not found through blind faith or external rituals, but through inner awakening. This awakening begins when the soul turns inward and remembers its true origin in the divine mind. This journey involves purification, releasing lower desires and illusions of the material world. Contemplation, meditating on divine truths and cosmic laws. Reintegration, becoming one again with the source of all being. Hermetic spirituality is therefore deeply mystical. It seeks union with the divine not through priesthood, but through individual transformation, making it one of the earliest personal spiritual paths. 4. Rebirth of the soul, death and resurrection. A powerful symbol in Hermetic texts is the rebirth of the soul. In the Corpus Hermeticum, Hermes describes an initiatory process where the soul dies to the material world and is reborn into divine consciousness. This spiritual death is not physical but psychological. It is the death of illusion, ego, and separation, leading to a resurrection of the true self. The man who is truly reborn is no longer a creature of fate, but a son of God. This teaching parallels other mystical traditions like Gnosticism, Sufism, and even Christianity. The idea that true life begins after spiritual death, when the soul is awakened, is a universal mystical theme. In Hermeticism, this rebirth is the goal, the transformation of the soul into a conscious participant in the divine order. 5. The three parts of wisdom, magic, alchemy, and astrology. The spiritual legacy of Hermes is also carried through the three parts of the wisdom of the whole universe, as referenced in Hermetic tradition. Alchemy, the transformation of base matter into gold, symbolized the transformation of the soul. True alchemy was not just about metals, but about spiritual perfection. Astrology, the study of the stars, revealed the divine order of the cosmos. By understanding celestial patterns, one could align with the universal will. Theurgy magic, rituals and symbols were used to align the practitioner with divine forces, not for power, but for union with the divine. These were not separate disciplines, but integrated paths toward gnosis. They taught that spiritual truth is hidden in all things, from the movement of the planets to the transformation of the elements. 6. The divine mind, logos and nous. In Hermetic philosophy, the source of all things is the One, an ineffable, transcendent reality. From this One emanates nous, divine mind or logos, the firstborn of creation. Through nous, the cosmos is formed and maintained. Humans, as part of creation, possess a share of this nous. This idea echoes Platonic philosophy, where the soul strives to return to the realm of forms. For Hermes, the mind is sacred. The mind is not merely rational but spiritual. It is the eye through which we perceive truth. Therefore, aligning the human mind with the divine mind is the essence of Hermetic practice. The human mind is the mirror of God. Corpus Hermeticum. This emphasis on inner perception and reflection makes Hermeticism profoundly psychological, long before modern psychology existed. 7. The silence of the mystics. An often overlooked part of Hermes' spiritual legacy is his reverence for silence. Hermetic texts speak of truths that cannot be spoken, mysteries that must be experienced, not explained. Hermes frequently warns against sharing sacred wisdom with the unprepared. This is not elitism, but a recognition that true understanding is experiential, not intellectual. The initiate must be ready to receive the light. This sacred silence mirrors traditions like Zen, Kabbalah, and Christian mysticism, where silence becomes the womb of divine presence. To know God, one must go beyond words, beyond thoughts, into the stillness where truth dwells. 8. Legacy in Western esotericism. Hermes' teachings were preserved and expanded upon through centuries of mysticism and occult practice. His spiritual legacy can be seen in Gnostic Christianity. The emphasis on inner knowledge and divine sparks echoes Hermetic thought. Kabbalah. Jewish mysticism shares the idea of divine emanation and soul ascent. Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam, parallels Hermetic rebirth and divine love. Renaissance magic. Thinkers like Giordano Bruno, Marsilio Ficino, and Pico della Mirandola revived Hermeticism as a universal spiritual philosophy. Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism. Secret societies drew on Hermetic symbols and wisdom for spiritual transformation. Jungian psychology. Carl Jung recognized Hermetic symbols in the unconscious, especially in alchemy's symbolic language of transformation. Even in the New Age movement and modern spiritual paths, the influence of Hermetic principles, unity, vibration, correspondence, inner power, is unmistakable. 9. Inner alchemy, the legacy within us. Perhaps the greatest testament to Hermes' spiritual legacy is that it continues to live inside us. His teachings are not bound to a specific time, religion, or doctrine. They speak to the inner quest, the human longing to reconnect with something greater than the self. In today's world of rapid change, external noise, and spiritual confusion, Hermetic wisdom offers a path of clarity. Look inward, not outward, for truth. Recognize the divine in all things. Understand the cosmos as a living, conscious whole. Transform yourself, and you transform the world. Hermes Trismegistus may have been myth or man, but his voice is eternally human, calling us home to the truth that was always within. The eternal light of Hermes. The spiritual legacy of Hermes Trismegistus is not just a relic of the past. It is a living path, a sacred map guiding the soul through darkness toward light, through confusion toward wisdom, through illusion toward truth. His teachings call us to remember that the divine is not far away, but within, and that salvation lies not in dogma, but in direct experience of the divine. In a world craving meaning, Hermes whispers across time, "Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall open, not out there, but within you." In silence, in stillness, and in sincere seeking, the voice of Hermes Trismegistus continues to speak. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the hidden world of Hermes Trismegistus, the sage, the god, the mystery. From ancient scrolls to esoteric teachings, his legacy continues to shape the way we see knowledge, magic, and the divine. If this dive into Hermetic wisdom sparked your curiosity, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What truths do you think are still hidden? Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and remember, the real alchemy begins within. This was the secret life of Hermes Trismegistus, revealed. Stay enlightened,